Welcome back. So now we were able to connect to the MySQL server successfully. Now it's time to execute some of the basic queries which interacts with MySQL database. So with that, basically let's go ahead and look into the basic command to understand what are the databases that we have in the MySQL server, right? So these are the databases that we have in the MySQL server that we could see on this, and the command has been successfully executed. The command action outputs you can see on the MySQL Workbench over here, right? And at the same time, we can also see what are the users that we have and what is the host, okay, that we have. Okay, so from mysql dot user, if you see the databases, this is the database which will hold most of the information specific to the databases. So from there, from the user, we are trying to fetch what are the details that we have. These are the different users that we have on different hosts. And if you see, root is the user which we have logged in earlier, and we will not be using this MySQL info schema session or sys users at any cost with our in our regular use cases. And now I would like to create a database. So for that I will be using the create database query. So create database, I'm using the database name as the Disable database. So I'll be creating that query. I'll be executing that query, and which creates the databases. And after creating, if you want to see, you can see the databases which Disable DB has been created for our use case, right? As you know, we have logged into the application with a root password. If I want to create a new password, new user, I can also create a new user. Here I'm trying to create a user which is an app user and is more accessible to the localhost domain, and this is the password that I'm trying to use, right? So in regular use cases, now the user has been created. If you want to see the users list of users, you can still see the app user which has been created. This app user currently is just a user, but he don't have any privileges to access to the Disable DB or any of the data into the particular databases that we have, right? So now basically for this app user, what I want to do is basically I just want to assign the privileges for this app user, which is using the grant command. So as it is a basic, so I just want to show I will be giving all the privileges, but if you want to give read, write, delete or admin or whatever the privileges that you want for this particular app user, you can assign them. But I am currently by executing this command, I just want the app user can access the Disable DB with all the permissions. So that is what I want to grant, so that eventually the Disable DB is the database which we are going to use in our application, as well as the app user is actually the user that we will be using to connect to the Disable DB in our future examples, right? So once you create, once you grant the privileges, you have to flush the privileges to be applied onto the user. I'll just do the reload the privileges onto that app user account for the Disable DB database. Okay, so now for example, if I want to see, basically let's try to see what kind of databases that we have. Okay, and we could see, as this in this example we have created a Disable DB database, and you can also see what kind of users that you have. The users, the app user is also provided, and app user is having the all the access privileges to access this application, right? If you want to drop the user, you can always use the drop command. Okay, drop user, which is app user from the localhost domain. And if you want to drop the database, so you can always do the database drop, which is a delete database, drop database Disable DB, which will drop the database. Okay, so these are the basic commands that I would like to cover here, and then in the next sessions we will be continuing learning about the more details or more uh, queries to connect with the database or to perform some actions or the uh, operations onto the database. Thank you for watching this. Let's continue in the next session.